All right, good morning. So we are back with the tumbler set. Today we are going to be trimming the foot of both of these tumblers. So remember, the foot is going to be what is bisqueware that touches the table, and then you're gonna carve kind of the centerpiece out so that you can glaze all of this so that your tumbler can actually hold water and it doesn't leak out the bisque of the bottom. So that is why I left the bases of both of these just a little bit thick. And again, they're pretty close to being the exact size, so working on that as well. So remember from the other trimming video, you need to kind of put this directly in the center to start. So again, the best way to do that is give yourself a little guideline and then just try to set your piece as close to the center as you can. And then kind of turning the wheel on really slowly and doing the finger test. So does it touch my finger the whole way around? Yes. Base looks a little bit off, but again, I am gonna trim that. So seems good. Seems a little janky, but could also just be how I threw it. And then you're gonna need some fresh clay, right, to hold it onto the bat. So remember, hold your piece, take your foot off of the wheel so that you don't accidentally turn it on while you're doing this. Hold the top, you're pressing some of the clay onto the bat, and then some of the clay up onto the side. And you wanna do this, I like to do it on all four sides, just the more security, the better. And again, it might be a little bit of a chore getting this clay off later on, but no less of a chore than having your whole piece go flying and have to do it all again. Right, so 4 little chunks onto the bat and onto your piece, and then do another kind of slow test. Does that seem good? A little faster test, okay. So you've got 2 different loop tools, okay? I like the wider one, and then there's a double-sided smaller one. Your sponge tool, rib tool, these are all gonna be really helpful for you today. So the first thing I like to do when I'm trimming is just kind of put a little water on it. So I left this out actually 2 days because I left it out one day, but I covered it at night and it just wasn't soft enough. It does feel a little teensy bit off. So if your clay gets super, super dry, you can still trim it. You just need to hydrate it with water before. So I like to use the sponge tool at first just to kind of help get rid of any clay boogers, or sometimes you cut it weird off the bat, and so that can be nice just to kind of do that as well. I think what it is the top of it isn't completely flat, and that's why it's a little bit asymmetrical. Oh well. Okay, so I've got my trusty loop tool. You can just kind of place it flat on there just to kind of test it out. Again, mine is a little wobbly. I'm gonna just again carve a little circle in here so that that's my edge, or where I'm gonna be trimming my foot. And sometimes faster is better than slower, sometimes slower is better. You gotta just decide what speed is best for you. Trying to find like a good in between. And then you're just kind of pulling that center part out. So I like to move from the out into the center and then from the center out. And you will scoop up some clay, so make sure you're kind of pulling that up. And again, hold both hands onto it just to keep it real steady. And just make sure that you don't carve too much away, that there's no more to carve. And then to show you just the smaller one, can't tell if this angle is good. I might try a different angle. Oh, I think it's okay. So hopefully you can see that a little bit better. Okay, so that's kind of like my edge. And I'm not gonna trim on this anymore. I am just gonna kind of smooth it down though. Because we wanna keep this solid and we don't want it to be too much because again, we wanna be glazing most of the piece. Right, most of the inside is what we wanna be glazing. So just making sure that we don't leave too little on the end that it can't sit on the table at all can also be kind of an issue. Gives you this lovely little ribbon. Whew, so relaxing. Okay. So again, the whole point of this is so that you can not have your cup leak water all over the table, because as you know, you can't glaze the bottom of anything where it touches the kiln shelf. So this, hopefully I'm not blocking with my head. As I noticed in those throwing demos, I'm blocking a bunch of them. So I'm just really slowly carving away, and you can already kind of see the little kind of indent. I'm just gonna push it a little bit further out to the perimeter, then I'm just slowly moving it inwards, taking a little bit at a time from the center of my piece. Okay. Remember, the goal is that this is the same as the other one, so whatever you do to this first one, you're gonna be trimming onto the second one, so kind of keep that in mind as well. And then, you know, it did create these kind of like little spirals, which you can keep. I'm just gonna try to smooth them out just for consistency's sake. And again, always better to tread lightly with trimming because it's super unfortunate to cut all the way through. It's not impossible to fix. You can always patch it up with some hand-built clay. And then I'm just gonna kind of take the edge, kind of clean up that edge a little bit. Sponge. So this is, again, just like when you would get your project to leather hard for hand building, you're waiting for your piece to get leather hard so that you can then make all these attachments, or not attachments, adjustments to it. But the nice thing is that you're able to do it on the wheel, and so you get this perfectly consistent look versus when you're hand building, there is room, obviously, considerable room for human error. Just going really slow. I kind of started at the out, went in, and then I started at the center and came out. So it's a considerable enough foot to where, you know, you can see it. It will clearly be defined and be easy to either not glaze or wipe the glaze off of, right? So I think that's, I'm actually gonna use my, wow, rib tool as well, just to kind of clean up the side, because I was noticing kind of a weird little lump just on the edge there. So I'm just using the flat edge, and then I'm just gonna kind of use it along the top just to really flatten out the foot and just keep it defined. And again, notice even though I'm not throwing, I'm still using water because it is my favorite tool. Okay. And again, just like throwing, sometimes you gotta know when to say when, and trimming is definitely one of those times where you gotta know when to say when. Okay, so taking your foot off of the pedal. To remove these, you can just kind of peel them off with your finger, and they should reasonably be removed. Okay, so just so you can see, again, so this is our foot where our tumbler is going to be touching the table. This is kind of the inside part that we are going to get to glaze so that our cup, you know, we can glaze the bottom of it and we don't have any leaks if we were to drink water or anything out of it. And then after that, just kind of smooth it out with your sponge, because you might have some indents from where you attach the clay there as well. So just to kind of get it to a good stage. And then what I would do is kind of leave it out, again, just lightly with the bag over it to kind of get more leather hard. And that way when you go to carve your unique designs into it, it is nice and leather hard, but it starts off really smooth, you know, so that you don't have to smooth out the designs that you make to smooth out your tumbler. All right, so that is the foot for one. And then of course, remember we have our second one that we threw on the wheel. So I'm gonna just do a time lapse of that one so that you can see that quickly, because you don't need to watch me in real time carve two of these. All right, good luck. And remember, just go slow, add water. And if you poke a hole in it, you can always patch it up with some clay, okay?